Shabbat Shalom. Welcome to Congregation Agudat Achim's in-person and live stream Shabbat morning service. I'm Rabbi Rafi Spitzer. It is Shabbat Hagadol, the great Shabbat, the Shabbat before Passover, so called because traditionally on this Shabbat, the rabbi would give a very lengthy, gadol, big discourse on the laws of Passover. So let's begin. Okay, I'm kidding. I'm not going to give you a lengthy discourse on the laws of Passover right now. And in fact, because this Shabbat is also the Social Action, Social Justice, Tikkun Olam Committee's Refugee Shabbat, I will actually not even be giving Dvar Torah this morning, but our guest Darshan, our guest speaker Dan Butterworth, who's the director of RISE, will be teaching at that moment in the service. I will add in a couple of comments here and there. Can't keep me too quiet. But if you were coming to Shul this morning for the lengthy discourse by the rabbi, sadly disappointed. But don't worry. Come next Saturday, come next Sunday, the following Friday, and the following Saturday. You'll get lots of times to learn with me about the holiday of Passover. Our creative Pesukei de Zimra option for this morning is nigun and chant. So I'm going to begin by chanting, by singing the melody to a song drawn from this week's Haftarah, the special Haftarah for the Shabbat before Pesach, which refers to the prophet Elijah, who will come and herald the Messianic age by connecting people who used to be in relationship but who have split from that relationship. I'll do the melody first a few times through, and then the words. Sholeach lachem et Eliyahu hanavi lifnei bo yom Hashem hagadol v'hanoga. Hine anochi sholeach lachem et Eliyahu hanavi lifnei bo yom Hashem hagadol v'hanoga. V'heishiv levavot abanim v'lev banim al avotam. 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 Yainai, 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 Turn to page 99 in our Siddur. Page 99. Elohai nishama shenatata bi tehorahi. 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 Elohai neshama shenatata bi tehorahi. Elohai neshama shenatata bi tehorahi. Shenatata biteho rahi Eruhai nishama Shenatata biteho rahi Yambamba Yambaba Yambaba Yambamba Yambamba Yambaba Page 102, the last line on the page. Areini mekabel alai mitzvat haborei ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha l'reacha kamocha Hareini mekabel alai mitzvat haborei ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha l'reacha kamocha Hareini mekabel alai mitzvat haborei ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha l'reacha kamocha Hareini mekabel alai mitzvat haborei ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha l'reacha kamocha Hareini mekabel alai mitzvat haborei ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha l'reacha kamocha. We turn to page 120. Page 120, 8 lines from the bottom of the page. Elecha Adonai ekra ve'el Adonai etchanan. Elecha Adonai ekra ve'el Adonai etchanan. Shema Adonai bechoneni Adonai heyeyo hozer li Shema Adonai bechoneni Adonai heyeyo hozer li Shema Adonai bechoneni Adonai heyeyo zerli Shema Adonai bechoneni Adonai heyeyo zerli Yai nai 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 Yai yai nai nai Yai nai nai yai nai yai Yai nai nai Yai nai 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 Yai nai 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 Yai yai nai 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 Yai yai nai nai Yai yai nai nai Yai yai nai nai Yai yai nai yai nai yai nai yai nai nai yai yai nai nai, yai yai nai nai, yai yai nai yai nai, yai nai yai nai nai, yai yai nai yai nai, yai nai nai, yai nai yai nai, yai nai nai, yai yai nai nai, yai yai nai nai, yai yai nai yai nai, yai nai yai nai nai, yai yai nai nai, yai yai nai nai, yai yai nai yai nai, yai yai nai nai. We rise, page 122. Baruch she'amar v'haya ha'olam baruch hu, Baruch oseh v'reishit, Baruch shemo, Baruch omer v'yoseh, Baruch hu, Baruch kozer m'chayim, Baruch shemo, Baruch m'chayim, Baruch hu, Baruch atah Adonai melech haolam ha'ela, Baruch aman ha'mulam b'fi amo, Mishubach m'chayim, Yachid Chai Holami Melech Mishubach Mfor Yad Shemo Hagadol Baruch Atah Adonai Melech Me'olam Batishbachot. You may be seated. We continue on page 127. Page 127, about halfway down the page. And if you're reading in the English, it's the red transliterated section in the middle of the page. Torah Adonai Temimah, Torah Adonai Temimah, Torah Adonai Temimah, Meshivat Nafesh, Torah Adonai Temimah, Torah Adonai Temimah, Torah Adonai Temimah, Meshivat Nafesh, Eidut Adonai Nehemana Makimat Peti, Eidut Adonai Nehemana Makimat Peti. Our next song is Wordless Melody, so you don't need the book. Just follow along with me. The source of this melody is it's a Hasidic melody, but it was written originally for words drawn from one of the songs at the very end of the Haggadah. Actually, one of the ones that generally people don't sing, but it is to the words Shomrim Hafked Le'ircha Kol Hayom V'Chol Halayla. This idea that Passover is the night, the Leil Shimurim, a night where God watches over the Jewish people night and day, just as God did in Egypt at the first Passover. So that's the starting point for this melody. Yanai na yanai 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 na That was 3 times. The great nigunists, the great masters of nigun, of the wordless melody, say you don't really feel a nigun unless you've sung it through 7 times, maybe 14 times. Let's keep going. Your eyes open, close your eyes. Page 136. Tehillah Adonai daber pi, mivarech kol basar shem gocho le'olam va'ed. V'anach v'nevarech yah, me'atav olam, hallelujah. We turn to page 141. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Kol hanshama tehallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Kol hanshama tehallelujah, hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. We began this morning with a melody drawn from this week's Haftorah portion, from this week's prophetic teaching, from the end of the book of Malachi, the last words of prophecy in the Hebrew scriptures, which say that Elijah the prophet will come to herald the Messianic age, and that Elijah's task will be to restore the hearts of the children to their parents and the hearts of the parents to their children. In other words, the Messianic age will begin with a renewal of relationship, a reconnecting, fixing that which was broken. We'll close our chanting, our Psukei de Zimra, the part of our service that gets us ready for prayer. We'll close with returning to that same melody. Yanai, 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 yanai. Yai nai, yai nai, nai, yai nai, nai, yai nai, 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 yai nai, nai, yai nai, yai nai, yai nai, nai, yai nai, yai nai, nai, yai nai, yai nai, nai, yai nai, yai.
Anochi sholeach lachem et Eliyahu hanavi lifnei bo yom Hashem hagado vehanora. Hine anochi sholeach lachem et Eliyahu hanavi lifnei bo yom Hashem hagado vehanora. Ve'heshiv levavot abanim ve'lev banim al avotam. Ve'heshiv levavot abanim ve'lev banim al avotam. Yainai yanana yainai yanana yainai 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 yanana yainai yainai.
Page 146 in the middle.
Ki chopeh lecha yodeh v'chol lashon lecha tishava v'chol berech lecha tichra v'chol koma lefanecha tishtachaveh v'chol levavot yiraucha v'chol kereb uchayot yizamru lishmecha kadavar shekatuv kol atzmotai tomarna Adonai michamocha. Matzil ani mechazak mimenu, v'ani v'evyon migazolo, mid melach umi ishvelach, umi aroch lach. Ha'el agadol agibor v'anora, el elyon konei shamayim v'aretz, na'alel chaneshabecha nefaercha, v'nevarecha shem kodshecha kamor leDavid. Barchi nafshi et Adonai v'chol keravai et sheim kodsho ha'el v'tatumot uzecha hagadol b'chvod shemecha ha-kibor la-netzach ve'hanora v'norotecha ha-melech ha-yoshev ha-kisei ramenisa. The formal chanting of Shacharit begins in the middle of page 147, where it says Shochein Ad. Howie Middleman will be chanting the Shacharit service in the middle of page 147.
Yasher koach to Rabbi. Very nicely done.
Thanks.
Shochen ad marom v'kadosh shemo v'chatuv ranu tzadikim b'Adonai liyasharim navat tehila befi sharim titalal v'direk tzadikim titbarach uvilshon chasidim titromam ובקרב קדושים תתקדש, ובמחלות רבבות עמך בית ישראל. שכן חובת כל היצורים לפניך, אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו, להודות, להלל, לשבח, לפאר, לרומם, להדר, לברך, לעולה ולקלקלס, כל דברי שירות ותשבחות, David ben Yishai, Avdecha Meshichecha.
We rise for Yishtabach, page 148.
Yishtabach Shimcha Liad Malkeinu, Ha'el HaMelech HaGadol. Brachot v'hodot me'ata ve'ad olam, Baruch ata Adonai, El Melkadol betishbachot, El haodot Adon niflot, Haboche b'shirei zimra, Melech elchei ha'olamim. Yitkadal v'yitkadash me'rabah, Yalma divra chirutei v'yamlich machutei, V'chayechon v'yamechon, V'chayed chol Beit Yisrael, Bagala v'zman kariv v'yimru, Amen. Yehesh me'rabah me'vach, Elam me'amaya. Yit barach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei d'kudesha b'richu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushpata v'nechamata dameran b'alma v'yimru Amen.
Amen. The Baruch, the call to worship, page 149.
Baruchu et Adonai hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMorach.
Baruch Adonai Amvorach le'olam voed.
You may be seated, page 150.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam yotzer or v'orech choshech oseh shalom u'voreh et hakol. Hakol yoducha v'achol yishabechucha v'achol yomru b'yim. Ein kercha v'ein zulatecha, efes bildcha u'mito melach. Ein kercha Adonai Eloheinu be'olam hazeh, ve'ein zulutcha malkeinu l'chayei ha'olam haba. Efes bildcha go'aleinu l'mit ha'mashiach, v'ein domelach, moshienu l'tchiyat ha'metim. El Adon al kol hamasim baruch umvarach befichol nishama gadlo v'tuvo malei olam da'at u'tvuna sovivim oto המתגאה על חיות הקודש ונדר בכבוד על המרכבה זכות ומישור לפני כיסו חסד ורחמים לפני כבודו טובים מאורות שברא אלוהינו יצרם בדעת בבינה ובהשכל כוח וגבורה נתן בהם להיות מושלים בקרב תבל מלאים זיו ומפיקים נוגה נאה זיום בכל העולם שמחים בצאתם וששים בבואם עושים בהם הרצון קונם פאר וכבוד נותנים לשמו צהלה ורינה לזכר מלכותו קרא לשמש ויזרח אורה והתקין צורת הלבנה שבח נותנים לו כל צבא מרום תפארת תפארת וגדולה, שרפים ואופנים וחיות הקודש, לאל אשר שבת. תתברך מושיענו על שבח מעשה ידיך ועל מאורי אור שעשית יפארו חסלה. תתברך צורנו מלכנו וגואלנו ברי קדושים. כולם אהובים, כולם ברורים, כולם גיבורים, וכולם עושים באימה ויראה רצון קונם. וכולם פותחים את פיהם בקדושה וטהרה, בשירה וזמרה, ומברכים ומשבחים ומפארים, ומריצים ומקדישים וממלכים. את שם האל, המלך הגדול, הגיבור ונקדשו. וכולם מקבלים עליהם עול מלכות שמיים זה מזה, ונותנים רשות זה לזה, להקדיש ליוצרם בנחת רוח, בשפה ורגע מנמרה קדושה. כולם כחרונים ואומרים ביראה, קדוש 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 אדוני צבאות מלוך כל הארץ כבודו. באופנים וחיות הקודש ברעש גדול מתנסים למצרפים, יומתם בשבחים ואומרים ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו, לאל ברוך ימות יתנו. Bottom of 153. המחדש בטובה בכל יום תמיד מעשה וראשית כאמור, לעושה אורים גדולים כי לעולם חסדו. אור חדש על ציון תאיר, ונזכה כולנו מהרה לאורו. ברוך אתה אדוני יוצר המאורות. אהבה רבה אהבתנו, אדוני אלוהינו, חמלה גדולה ויתרה חמלת עלינו. אבינו מלכנו בעבור אבותינו, שבטחו בך אבינו מלכנו. ותלמדם חוקי חיים, כן תחננו תלמדנו, אבינו האב הרחמן, המרחם לכם עלינו. ותן ליבנו להבין ולהשכיל לשמוע, ללמוד וללמד, לשמור ולעשות, ולקיים את כל דברי תלמוד תורתך באהבה. והאר עינינו בתורתך, ודבק ליבנו במצוותיך, ויחד לבבינו לאהבה וליראה את שמך, ולא נבוש לעולם ועד, ולא נבוש לעולם ועד, כי בשם קודשך הגדול והנורא בטחנו, נגילה ונשמחה בישועתך, והביאנו לשלום מארבע כנפות הארץ, ותוליכנו קוממיות לארצנו. כי אל פועל ישועות אתה ובנו, ובחרת מכל עם ולשון, וקרבתנו לשמך הגדול, סלע באמת, להודות לך ולייחדך באהבה. ברוך אתה אדוני הבוחר בעמו ישראל באהבה. שמע ישראל אדוני אלוהינו אדוני אחד. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, והיה שמות לפני זאת. ויאמר אדוני אל משה לאמור, דבר אל בני ישראל ואמרת עליהם, ויעשו להם ציצית על כנפי בגדיהם לדורתם, ונתנו על ציצית הכנף פתיל תכלת, והיה לכם לציצית, וריתם אותו, וזכרתם את כל מצוות אדוני, ועשיתם אותו, ולא תטורו אחרי לבבכם ואחרי עיניכם, אשר אתם זונים אחריהם, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. Bottom of page 156. ויצב לדור ודור קיים ושמו קיים, וכיסו נכון ומלכותו ואמונתו ליד קיימת, ודבריו חיים וקיימים לימי עולמים. אמת שהטהור אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו, מלכנו מלך אבותינו, גואלנו גואל אבותינו, יוצרנו צור ישועתנו, פודנו מצילנו מעולם שמך, אין אלוהים זולתך. עזרת אבותינו אתה הוא מעולם, מגנו שבניהם דור ודור. מצרים קלטם. על זאת שבחו אהובים, ורוממו 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 אל, ורוממו 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 אל, ונתנו ידידים, זמירות שירות בתשבחות, ברכות והודות, למלך אל חי וקיים, רם ונישא, גדול ונורא, משפיל גאים ומגביה שפלים, מוציא אסירים ופודה ענבים, ויונה דלים, ויונה לעמו, ויונה לעמו, בעת שבם אליו. תהילות ליל עליון, ברוך ומבורך, משה ובני ישראל. לך אנו שירה בשמחה רבה, ויאמרו כולם, מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה. שירה חדשה, שבחו גילים שחל שפת הים, יחד כולם הודו והמליכו ויאמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד.
We rise for Tzur Yisrael, page 158, followed by the Amidah for Shabbat morning, which will begin together with Howie on page 159. After we conclude the third blessing of the Amidah, which is the Kiddusha, on page 161, we'll continue with our individual whispered Amidah, beginning on page 162. If the words in Hebrew on the page don't work for you, try the words in English. And if those words also don't work, I believe that God also understands the words of the heart. Take some time in private meditation during our moment of silent individual prayer. We continue, page 158.
Tzur Yisroel, Kuma Be'ezrat Yisroel, Ufdei Chinumecha, Yehuda ve'Yisroel, Go Aleinu Adonai Tzevot Shemo, Kedosh Yisroel, Baruch Atah Adonai Ka'al Yisroel. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avoteinu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor, Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, v'Koneh HaKol, v'Zocher Chasdei Avot, ומביא גואל לבני בניהם למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ופוקד ומושיע ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ופוקד שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי מתים אתה רב להושיע. משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם. מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי מתים ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומדום מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ואמן אתה לחיות מתים. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי המתים. נקדש שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאך, וקרא זה אל זה ואמר, קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוא כל הארץ כבודו. אז בקול רעש גדול, אדיר וחזק משמיעים קול, מתנסים למצרפים, לעומתם ברוך יאמרו. ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו, ממקומך מלכנו תופיע, ותמלוך עלינו, כי מחכים אנחנו לך. מתי תמלוך בציון בקרוב ימינו, לעולם ועד, לעולם ועד, לעולם ועד תשכון. תתקדל ותתקדש בתוך ירושלים עירך, לדור ודור, לדור ודור, לנצח נצחים. בעינינו תירנה מלכותך, כדבר האמור בשירי עוזך. בעינינו תירנה מלכותך, כדבר האמור בשירי עוזך. על ידי דוד, על ידי דוד, על ידי דוד, משיח צדקך ימלוך אדוני לעולם. ימלוך אדוני לעולם אלוהי ציון לדור ודור, הללויה. לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש. ושפחך אלוהינו מפינו לאמוש לעולם ועד, כי אל מלך גדול וקדוש אתה, ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש. אתה הקדוש.
If you haven't completed your individual whispered Amidah, please continue davening. We join together for Kaddish Shalem, page 167.
יתגדל ויקדש שמי רבה, יעמד יברח חירותי וימליך מלכותי בחיי חון ויומי ובחיי דכל בית ישראל בגלה וזמן קריב ויאמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם לעולמי יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי קודשה בריחו לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן בעלמה ויאמרו אמן. תתקבל סלטון ודהון דכל ישראל קדם ובהון די וישמעיה ויאמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמעיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו
Amen. We turn back to the Psalm for Shabbat, page 112. Yom Yom Shabbat Kodesh, Shabo Hayu Elohim
יום יום שבת קודש. עוד ינובון בסבד, שנים רענים יהיו, להגיד כי ישר אדוני, צורי ולא עוולתה בו.
Kaddish Avelim, Mourner's Kaddish, page 121. Yitgadal, V'yitkadash, Shemei Rabbah,
Amen.
Ve'alma Divra Kirutei, V'yamlich Malchutei, V'chayechon Uvyomechon, Uv'chayei Dechol Beit Yisrael, V'agala Uv'izman Kariv V'imru, Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mevarach, Le'alam Alamei Almaya. Yitbarach, V'yishtabach, V'yitpa'ar, V'yitromam, V'yitnaseh, V'yitadar, V'yitaleh, V'yitalal, Shmei Dekudesha, Brichu. Leila min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechmata, Damiran Be'alma V'imru Amen. Yehi Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya V'chaim Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael V'imru Amen. Oseh Shalom Imramav Hu Yaseh Shalom Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael V'imru Amen. Shabbat Shalom. Welcome to Congregation Agudat Achim's in-person and live stream Shabbat morning service. I'm Rabbi Rafi Spitzer. It's a pleasure to join with you this morning to read together Parashat Mitzorah. Parashat Mitzorah, the second in our two parshiot last week and this week, which deal with the embodied experience of illness, of sores, of blood, which are a part of life, and which the Torah says, don't shy away from talking about that. This is a part of our existence. It's also Shabbat HaGadol, so called because it's the Shabbat before Passover, the great Shabbat on which traditionally the rabbi gives a very, very lengthy sermon on the topic of the laws of Passover and making sure that everybody knows how to appropriately clean their houses and homes and to prepare themselves for the Passover holiday, which begins this coming Friday night. If you didn't know Passover was beginning Friday night, now you do. I'm not going to give a lengthy discourse this morning because it is also the Social Justice, Social Action, Tikkun Olam Committee's Refugee Shabbat. I'm thrilled. So Refugee Shabbat is a feature of Jewish communities every spring. The official date was a few weeks ago, but our community decided to honor the highest Shabbat concept, not on the day that many other communities were doing it, but on the Shabbat before Passover, because of the link, the conceptual link between the idea of welcoming the stranger is so foundational to our understanding of the Passover story, which is that we were slaves in Egypt, and therefore that comes with obligations. I mentioned I wasn't going to be giving a lengthy discourse about the laws of Passover. That's because I will be honored to share the pulpit with Dan Butterworth, who is here and is the director of Rise. I'm thrilled that he's here with his partner Christian. Welcome to both of you. And so he'll be giving the lengthy discourse about the laws of Passover. Just kidding. So we'll be hearing from him at that time today. And I'm thrilled that the Social Justice, Social Action Committee was able to invite him and to have such a beautiful program last night. Also, a panel of refugees who told their own personal stories, and it was recorded, so if you missed it last night, make sure to take it in before Passover, because it was really, really a wonderful opportunity. I just want to remind everybody that in our process of figuring out what it means to be in this weird liminal state toward the end of this pandemic / maybe we're going back, who knows, that right now our current policy is that we are continuing to do the Hagbah at the beginning of the Torah service, which allows anybody who has been honored with an aliyah to the Torah to choose whether to come up to the bima to take their aliyah or to continue to take their aliyah from the base of the bima, and you're welcome to choose whichever makes you feel the most comfortable. We are going to be bringing the Torahs all the way around the sanctuary, but we ask that people not crowd around the Torah to touch them, but just kiss them from afar. Just one Torah today. Just one Torah today. Last week we had 3. Next week we'll have 2. This Shabbos is just 1. We turn now to the service for taking the Torah out of the ark, page 168.
אין כמוך ואלוהים אדוני ואין כמעשיך מלכותך מלכות כל עולמים, וממשלתך בכל דור ודור. אדוני מלך, אדוני מלך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. אדוני עוז לעמו ייתן, אדוני יברך את עמו בשלום. אב הרחמים, היטיב ברצונך את ציון. תבנה חומות ירושלים, תבנה חומות ירושלים. כי בך לבד בטחנו, מלך אל רם ונישא, אדון עולמים.
We rise.
ויהי בצהרון ויאמר משה, קומה אדוני ויפוסו אויביך וינוסו מצפונך מפניך, כי מציון תצא תורה, כי מציון תצא תורה.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shmo.
Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo.
Gadol Adonai Hiti, Uneromema Shemo Yachad. Lecha Adonai,
Adonai Eloheinu, V'hishtachavu seated. Our Torah portion this morning can be found in the other book under the. Oh yes, thank you. Please rise as the Torah is lifted. V'zot HaTorah asher sam Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael b'yad Adonai b'yad Moshe. Now you may be seated. Take up the other maroon book, not the Siddur, but the Chumash. It says Eitz Chaim, Torah and Commentary. And our section that we're reading begins on page 663, 663, the last verse on the page, verse 33.
V'yazor, v'yagem v'yoshio chosim bo v'nomar, amen. Hakol, hagavod Eloheinu gdolat Torah, ein kan kohen ya'amod Levi. Victor. Yamdu. Baruch Shenatan Torah le'amo Yisrael b'kedushato v'atem admekim b'Adonai Elohechem chaim kulchem hayom.
Baruch Hu Adonai Hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Vaed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bacharanu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen. Vaydaber Adonai el Moshe vel Aharon lemor ki tavo'u el eretz Canaan asher ani noten lachem la'achuzah v'natati negat zarat b'vei eretz achuzatchem uva asher lo habayit v'higid lakohen lemor kenega nirali babayit v'tziva hakohen ufinu et habayit b'terem yavo hakohen lirot et hanega v'lo yitma kol asher babayit v'achar ken yavo hakohen lirot et habayit v'ra'a et hanega v'heina hanega b'kirot v'hine hanega b'kirot habayit shekarurot yirakrakot o adam damot umarehen shafal min hakir v'yatza hakohen min habayit el petach habayit v'hisgir et habayit shivat yamim. Sorry.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lo Torah demet v'kayei olam nachlik v'katenu. Baruch Atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen.
Yamod. Moshe ben Sarah Sheni. We're on verse 39 on page 664.
Baruch Hu Adonai Hamvarach. Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Vaed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol hamim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen. V'shav hakohen bayom hashvi'i v'ra v'hine pasa hanega b'kirot habayit v'tziva hakohen v'chiltzu et havanim asher bahen hanega v'hishlechu et hen el michutz la'ir el makom tameh ve'et habayit yaktia mibayit saviv v'shavchu et ha'afar asher hiktu el michutz la'ir el makom tameh ולקחו אבנים אחרות, והביאו אל תחת האבנים, ועפר אחר ייקח ותח את הבית, ואם ישוב הנגע ופרח בבית, אחר חילץ את האבנים, ואחרי הקצות את הבית. ואחרי התוח, ובא הכהן וראה, והנה פסה הנגע בבית, צרעת ממרת היו בבית טמא הוא, ונתץ את הבית, ואת אבניו, ואת עציו, ואת כל עפר הבית, והוציא אל מחוץ לעיר אל מקום טמא, והבא אל הבית כל ימי הזכיר אותות יטמע עד הערב, והשוכב בבית יכבס את בגדיו, והאוכל בבית יכבס את בגדיו.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת וחיי עולם נטע בתוכנו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Amen. Ya'amod. Aaron Yitzchak.
Badly done.
Shlishi, the third on the hour on page 665, verse 48.
Not used to having people up here.
ברכו את אדוני המבורך. ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר בחר בנו מכל העמים ונתן לנו את תורתו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Amen. Bimbo yavo hakohen. V'hine lo pasa hanaga babayit acharei hitoach et habayit. Vatihar hakohen et habayit kinir pa hanaga v'lakach l'chate et habayit שתי ציפורים ועץ ארז ושני תולעת באזוב ושחט את הציפור האחד אל כלי חרש על מים חיים ולקח את עץ הארז ואת האזוב ואת שני התולעת ואת הציפור החיה וטבל אותם בדם הציפור השחוטה ובמים החיים והיזה אל הבית 7 פעמים וחיטה את הבית בדם הציפור ובמים החיים ובציפור החיה ובעץ הארז ובאזוב ובשני התולעת ושילח את הציפור החיה אל מחוץ לעיר אל פני השדה וכיפר על הבית וטהר.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת וחיי עולם נטע בתוכנו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Ta'amod, Rachel, Ben Eliezer, Yocheved, Rubi. Fourth on the hour on page 666, verse 54.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamvarach. Baruch Adonai hamvarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu melech olam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et toroto. Baruch ata Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Zod haTorah l'chol naga haToraat v'lanatek u'torat habeged v'labayit v'las'et לספחת ולבחרת, להורות ביום הטמא וביום הטהור, זאת תורת הצורעת. וידבר אדוני אל משה ואל אהרון לאמור, דברו אל בני ישראל ואמרתם עליהם איש איש, כי אזוב מבשרו זבו טמא הוא, וזו תהיה טומאתו, בזבו רור בשרו, את זבו, או החיטים בשרו, מזבו, טומאתו היא. כל המשכב אשר ישכב עליו היזה יטמע, וכל הכלי אשר ישב עליו יטמע, ואיש אשר ייגע במשכבו יכבס בגדיו, ורחץ במים וטמא עד הערב. והיושב על הכלי אשר יושב עליו הזב יכבס בגדיו, ורחץ במים וטמא עד הערב. והנוגע בבשר הזב יכבס בגדיו, ורחץ במים וטמא עד הערב.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת, וחיי עולם נטע בתוכנו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Yep, thank you. No, you're not going to make anything easy.
Chavishi, the fifth Aliyah, 667, verse 8.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Baruch
Baruch Adonai hamvarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et torato. Baruch ata Adonai notein haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. V'chi arok hazav batahor, v'chi bes begadav, v'rachatz b'mayim v'tamei ad ha'arev, v'chol hamerkav asher yirkav alav, hazav yitma, v'chol hanogea b'chol asher yeh tachtav yitma ad ha'arev, והנשא אותם יכבס בגדיו, ורחץ במים וטמא עד הערב, וכל אשר ייגע בו הזב וידיו לא שטף במים, וכיבס בגדיו, ורחץ במים וטמא עד הערב, וכלי חרס אשר ייגע בו הזב יישבר, וכל כלי עץ ישטף במים, וכי יתר הזב מזובו, וספר לו 7 ימים, לטהרתו וכיבס בגדיו, ורחץ בשרו במים חיים וטהר, וביום השמיני ייקח לו 2 תורים או 2 בני יונה, ובא לפני אדוני אל פתח אוהל מועד, ונתנם אל הכהן. ועשה אותם הכהן, אחד חטאת והאחד עולה, וכיפר עליו הכהן לפני אדוני מזובו.
Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch ata Adonai notein haTorah.
You can?
Zahababat, Pinchas, Miriam, Shishi, the sixth Aliyah, page 668, verse 16.
Okay. Baruch Hu Adonai HaBaruch. Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim V'natan Lanu Et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Notein HaTorah.
Amen. Ve'ish ki tete mimenu shichvat zara ורחץ במים את כל בשרו וטמא עד הערב וכל בגד וכל אור אשר יהיה עליו שכבת זרה וכיבס במים וטמא עד הערב ואישה אשר ישכב איש אותה שכבת זרה ורחצו במים וטמאו עד הערב ואישה כי תהיה זבה דם, תהיה זבה בבשרה, 7 ימים תהיה בנידתה, וכל הנוגע בה יטמא עד הערב. וכל אשר תשכב עליו בנידתה יטמא וכל אשר תשב עליו יטמא וכל הנוגע במשכבה יכיבס בגדיו ורחץ במים וטמא עד הערב וכל הנוגע בכל כלי אשר תשב עליו יכבס בגדיו ורחץ במים וטמא עד הערב ואם על המשכב הוא או על הכלי אשר היא יושבת עליו בנוגבו יטמא עד הערב ואם שכוב ישכב איש אותה ותנידתה עליו וטמא 7 ימים וכל המשכב אשר ישכב עליו יטמא ואישה כי הזוג זוב דמה ימים רבים ולא את נידתה או כי תזוב על נידתה כל ימי זוב טומאתה כי מנידתה תהיה טמאה היא כל המשכב אשר תשכב עליו כל ימי זובה כמשכב נידתה יהיה לה וכל הכלי אשר תשב עליו טמא יהיה כטומאת נידתה וכל הנוגע בם יטמא וכיבס בגדיו ורחץ במים וטמא עד הערב ואם טהרה מזובה וספרה לה 7 ימים ואחר תטהר.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu Baruch atah Adonai notein haTorah.
Who's number 7? Ta'amod Gila bat Moshe.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Barach. Baruch Adonai Barach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim V'natan Lanu Et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Notein HaTorah.
Amen. וביום השמיני תיקח לה 2 תורים או 2 בני יונה והביאה אותם אל הכהן אל פתח אוהל מועד ועשה הכהן את האחד חטאת ואת האחד עולה וכיפר עליה הכהן לפני אדוני מזוב טומאתה ויזרתם את בני ישראל מטומאתם ולא ימותו בטומאתם בטמאם את משכני אשר בתוכם זאת תורת הזב ואשר תצא ממנו שכבת זרה לטומאה והדבה בנידתה והזב את זובו לזכר ולנקבה ולאיש ish asher yishkav im tme'ah.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet b'chayei olam atah b'tocheinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten Torah.
Amen.
We rise as the ark is open. Misha Sarah, Rivka Rachel, Leah, Hirech, Virpet, Acholim. Et Zima Freda, Bat Meir, Lev, Bechani Yenta, Bet Riva Bela, Bat Abraham Chaim, Bereza, Bet Sarah, Bat Abraham, Bet Akiva, Ben Gittel, Bet Miriam, Bat Malka, Bet Eliyahu, Ben Malka, Bet Mari Trevizo, Bet David Aram, Ben Siva, Bet Liba, Bat Shindel Chatzel, Bet Asher Yosef, Ben Fega Malka, Bet Fegaleah, Bat Minsasura, Bet Dinsa, Bat Liba, Bet Yoreh, Bat Avram Mesara, Bet Aaron ben Chava, Shlomo Yosef, Bet Dvorah Shena bat Malka, Bet Bracha bat Myra, Bet Chaim David, Ben Avram Vidal, Veyet Miriam bat Bluma, Veyet Richard Krugman, Veyet Devorah, bat Yaakov, Chaya Sarah, Veyet Vet kol hacholim migilag dashaz od hakadosh baruch hu yimalei rachamim aleihem lachzikam lachlimam l'rabatam lachzikam l'chayotam bishvach lahem meira refuah shem amin shamayim refuah denefesh refuah taguf l'chol everyem migdiyem b'dok shar chol Yisrael v'haolam v'chizek yedidei oskim etor chayhem shabbatim yozok v'harefuah krava lavo hashta bagalav bizman kariv v'nomar amen Mishe be'irachim ote Mekor habracha avoteinu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shalema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
Yikadav, Yikadav, Shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Yomadi Barak Yerute, V'yamlich Malchute,
V'chayechonu Yomecho, Uv'chayei L'chol Beit Yisrael. Bagala, Bagala, Uv'izman Karim, V'yimeru Amen. Yishmei Rabba Mevarach, Le'alam Le'almei Almaya,
Yifarach, V'yishtabach, V'yipar, V'yishoma, V'yinaseh, V'yitadar, V'yitaleh, V'yitalal, Shemei D'Kodeshah, Le'olam Min Kol Birchata V'shirata, Tushvechata V'nechemata, Ta'amiram V'yama, V'yimeru Amen. May be seated. Yamod Harav, Raphael ben
Pinchas Elazar,
Pinchas Elazar ben
Aharon,
Aaron,
V'harav,
Miriam, Lynn, Maftir, Aliyah. We're on page 669 at the bottom, verse 31.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamvorach. Baruch Adonai Hamvorach leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. V'hizar tamet b'nei Yisrael mitumatam v'lo yamutu betumatam betamam et mishkani asher betocham. Zot Torah tazaf v'asher tetzeh mimenu shichvat zara l'tomava v'hadava b'nidata v'hazav et zovo l'zachar u'nekeva u'leish asher yishkav im tme'ah.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam natan b'tocheinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. The Haftarah is a special Haftarah. We're not reading the Haftarah for Parashat Mitzorah, but instead the Haftarah for the Shabbat before Pesach, which can be found in our Chumashim on page 1296. 1296. It is, as I mentioned earlier, the last prophecy in Hebrew Scriptures, the very end of the third chapter of the prophet Malachi, who is the last of the prophets of Israel. And at the very end of a prophecy, Malachi puts in this concept, this idea, that Elijah, the very same Elijah from the book of 2 Kings, who was taken up in a fiery chariot into heaven and never died, and then therefore serves as a intermediary between heaven and earth. Elijah will come before the coming of the Messiah and herald that messianic age. And what will Elijah do? Elijah will repair the relationships that are broken. So on Passover, the relationship between parents and children and between siblings is broken way at the beginning of the story, when Jacob's sons don't get along and some of them sell one of them down into slavery, and it's because of that that the whole people ends up down enslaved in Egypt. And then Elijah's promise, the promise of the coming redemption, the promise of redemption is that Elijah will heal the family rifts that divide the world and bring a future that is less divided. Page 1296. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar b'nbiim tovim v'ratzav v'divreihem hanemarim emet. Baruch atah Adonai habocher b'torah Moshe avdo u'Yisrael amo u'b'nviei ha'emet v'tzedek. Ve'arva l'Adonai minchat Yehuda v'Yerushalayim kimei olam u'shanim kadmoniot ve'karavti aleichem lamishpat ve'hayiti eid mimaher b'mchashvim u'b'manafim u'v'nishba'im l'shaker u've'oshkei sechar sachir Almana v'yatom u'mateger v'lo yireuni amar Adonai tzevot ki ani Adonai lo shaniti ve'atem bnei Yaakov lo chalitem lemimei avotechem sartem mechukai v'lo shemartem shuvu elai v'yashuva aleichem amar Adonai tzivot v'amartem b'amen ashuv ha'yikba adam Elohim Ki atem kov'im oti v'amartem b'meh kiva'anucha ha'maaser v'hatruma b'meiratem ne'arim v'oti atem kov'im hagoy kulo Haviu et kol hamaser el beit ha'otzar v'terev b'beiti u'v'chanuni na bazot amar Adonai tzivot im lo eftach lachem ein darubot hashamayim v'harikoti lachem beracha ad yom blidai V'garti lachem ba'ochel, v'lo yashchid lachem et pri adama, v'lo tishakel lachem hagefen basadeh, amar Adonai tzivot. V'yishru etchem kol hagoyim, ki tiyu atem eretz chayfetz, amar Adonai tzivot. Chazku alai, divreichem amar Adonai, v'amartem, manidbarnu alecha, Amartem Shabbat Elohim Umabetza Ki Shamarnu Mishmarto V'chi Halachnu Kedo Ranid Mipnei Adonai Tzevot Ve'ata Anachnu Me'ashrim Zedim Gam Nivnu Hosei Risha Gam Bachanu Elohim Maimaleitu Az Nidberu Yirei Adonai Ish Et Reyehu Vayakshev Adonai Vayishma Vaykatev Sefer Zikaron Lefanav Lirei Adonai Ulecho Shevei Shemo V'hayuli Amar Adonai Tzevot Layom Asher Ani Yoseh Segula V'chamalti Aleihem Kasher Yachmo Ish Al Beno Haved Oto V'shavtem Uritem Bein Tzadik LaRasha Bein Oved Elohim Lasher Lo Avado Ki Hinei Hayom Ba Boer Katanur V'hayu Chol Zedim V'chol Osei Risha Kash V'lihat Otam Hayom Haba Amar Adonai Tzevot Asher Lo Yazov Lahem Shoresh Ve'anaf V'zarcha Lachem Yirei Shemi Shemesh Tzedakah Umarpeh Bichnafeha Vitzatem Ufishtem Keglei Marbek Vasotem Rishaim Ki Yu Efer Tachat Kapod Raglechem Hayom Asher Ani Yosef Amar Adonai Tzevot Zichru Torah Moshe Avdi Asher Tziviti Oto B'chorev Al Kol Yisrael Chukim Umishpatim Hinei Anochi Sholeach Lachem Eid Eliyah Hanavi Lifnei Bo Yom Adonai Hagadol V'Hanorah Ve'yishiv Levavot Al Banim Ve'lev Banim Al Avotam Henavo V'iketi Et Haaretz Cherem Hinei Anochi Sholeach Lachem Eid Eliyah Hanavi Lifnei Bo Yom Adonai Hagadol V'Hanorah Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Olam Tzur Kol Holamim Tzadik B'Chol Adorot Hayel HaNeman HaOmer V'Yoseh HaMedaber U'Mekayem Shekol Devarav Emet V'Tzedek Neman Atahu Adonai Eloheinu V'Nemanim Devarecha V'Davar Echad Midvarecha Achor Lo Yashuv Rekam Ki HaMelech Neman V'Rachaman Ata Baruch Atah Adonai Hayel HaNeman B'Chol Devarav Rachem al Tzion Ki Hi Beit Chayenu V'Lalu B'Nefesh Toshia B'Mheira B'Yameinu Baruch Atah Adonai V'Sameach Tzion B'Vanea Samcheinu Adonai Eloheinu Eliyahu Hanavi Avdecha U'Malchut Beit David Meshichecha B'Mheira Yavo V'Yagel Libeinu Al Ki Solo Yeshev Zar V'Lo Yinchalu Od Acherim Et Kvodo Ki B'Shem Kodecha Nishbata Lo Shelo Yichbeh Neiro Le'olam Va'ed Baruch Atah Adonai Magen David Al HaTorah Ve'al Avodah Ve'al HaNevi'im Ve'al Yom HaShabbat Hazeh Shenatat Lanu Adonai Eloheinu L'Kedusha V'Limnucha L'Chavod U'Tifaret Al HaKol Adonai Eloheinu Anachnu Modim Lach U'Mvarchim Otach Yiparach Shimcha V'Fi Kol Chai Tamid Le'olam Va'ed Baruch Atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. We turn now to Ashrei, page 181 in the Siddur, page 181.
Ashrei Beitecha, Od Yalelucha Selah. Tehillah LeDavid, Amin Chachai, Chamelech, Hashim, Hallel, Vayet. Gadol Adonai Uvlameo, Velig Deloto, Ein Heker. Hadar Kevod, Hodecha, V'divrei Nifotecha, Asircha. Zotaratu Chayabiu, Betit Kad Chayanenu.
Chanu Brachum Adonai Erech Habayim Dal
Tov Adonai La Kol V'chamav Kol Ma'asav.
Yodu Adonai Kol Ma'asecha V'chasidecha Yivarchu
Kevod Malchutecha Yomeru, Gvuratai Yedaberu.
Leodi Elinei Hadam Gurotabu Vod Hadar Malchut
Malchutecha Malchut, Kol Amimu Menshetecha, Bechodor Vador.
So Mei Adonai Lechol HaNoflim V'zokef Lechol HaKufim
Eine Kol Alecha Yesaberu, Nevenatan Lotetachem, Etaquam Beito.
Potei Achet Yatecha Masbi Alechol Haimetzah
Sadiq Adonai B'chol Deracha, V'chasip B'chol Ma'asav.
Arov Adonai Lechol Korah Kol Asher Yikra'u V'emet
Retzon Yiraya Ya'aseh, V'yen Shematan Yishma V'yoshiem.
Shomer Adonai Et Kol Ohava V'et Kol Harshayim Yashmi
Tehillat Adonai Yedaber Pi Yakarba Kol Basar Shekom Sholei Lavayed. Anachnu Evaret Ya Me'ata Ve'ad Olam. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. We rise for the service for returning the Torah to the Ark, which will be led for us by Talia Stashauer. It's my great pleasure to invite Dan Butterworth, the director of RISE, to share some words both of Torah and of his Torah, of the Torah of his actions and the Torah of his organization, which does great work in our community and in the surrounding regions. This is part of the Social Action, Social Justice, Tikkun Olam Committee's Refugee Shabbat in honor of Hayes, which is the custom of many congregations to have a Hayes Shabbat, a refugee Shabbat, and which we picked this particular weekend because of its connection to Passover. So the little sheet that I had with Dan's full bio seems to have disappeared, which is okay. And I'll just say that I'm really thrilled to be able to invite Dan up to share words with us all.
Good morning. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you so much for inviting me here today to share Shabbat services with you and for giving me the opportunity to talk about my organization, Refugee and Immigrant Support Services of Emmaus, also known as RISE. I'm especially honored to be here during this season of celebration. With Passover fast approaching, we have the opportunity to reflect on what this holiday means, to rejoice in the Jewish people's freedom from slavery and oppression, and it provides an opportunity to pause, to connect with our ancestors, and to show us the power that lies in community. However, we also have the opportunity to frame this celebration as more than a biblical story or the history of a people. This year, when there are more displaced people on the face of the earth than ever before, we have the opportunity to connect this story to the present. To honor and support the millions of people today who are seeking to overcome oppression and live in freedom. Today, over 84 million people are displaced from their homes because of oppression, persecution, famine, or disasters. Nearly 1/3 are officially designated by the UN as refugees. As many as half are children. And while we're understandably horrified by the images on the nightly news of war and its human toll in Ukraine, we also need to remember that Ukraine is today's conflict. Yesterday's was Afghanistan. But for the many individuals who are living through conflict, the crisis doesn't end with the close of the news cycle. For people from Congo, Yemen, South Sudan, Syria, Somalia, Ethiopia, Burma, Venezuela, Iraq, and many other places, the crisis continues. So in the face of this human suffering, it's no wonder that we feel overwhelmed and powerless, especially from the relative security of our safe communities in our democratic country. So the question becomes for us, how do we celebrate Passover when so many seek refuge and safety? What can we do to honor and support them? The text I want to share with you today does not come from Scripture. I have really not much authority to speak on that. But instead, this piece comes from a Jewish thinker who is often described as notorious, who is likely a hero not only to myself, but maybe also some of you. In a 2004 speech delivered shortly after Passover, Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg spoke eloquently about how her identity as a Jew and as the daughter of immigrants informed her passion for justice and her storied legal career. In remarking on Passover, she stated, we gather here today, little more than a week after Passover, the holiday when Jews recount their journey from slavery to freedom. We retell the Passover to educate our children, to remember those who died striving for a better world, and to rejoice in the resistance of the Jewish people to evil fortune, armed with the courage and faith that has enabled them to survive through centuries of exiles, plunderings, and persecutions. The Passover story we retell is replete with miracles, but unlike our ancestors in their exodus from Egypt, our way is unlikely to be advanced by miraculous occurrences. In striving to drain dry the waters of prejudice and oppression, we must rely on measures of our own creation, upon the wisdom of our laws, the decency of our institutions, upon our reasoning minds and our feeling hearts, and as a constant spark to carry on upon our vivid memories of the evils we wish to banish from our world. In our long struggle for a more just world, our memories are among the most powerful resources we have. May those memories strengthen our resolve to aid those at home and abroad who suffer from injustice born of ignorance and intolerance, to combat crimes that stem from racism and prejudice, and to remain ever engaged in the quest for democracy and the respect for the human dignity of all the world's people. There are two things in particular about this piece that I find incredibly moving. The first is the recognition that we cannot count on miracles to solve our present-day crises. And the second is the call to action for us to rely on measures of our own creation. Today's problems are ours to solve, and this must be the result of collective action to address challenges on a global scale, but it's here at home where we are really able to make an impact on the day-to-day lives of people escaping violence and oppression. As individuals and as a community, we can and must be the agents of change, and at RISE, we strive to do just that. In 2021, nearly 600 refugees resettled in the capital region to become our newest neighbors, and this made it the largest year of resettlement in our region on record. In 2022, we anticipate even larger numbers of refugees to arrive here. For the past 15 years, RISE has been working to meet the needs of over 5,000 refugees who have arrived in our community to help them adjust to their new home. Our mission statement is to equip refugees and recent immigrants to build sustainable, independent lives by offering language and literacy instruction, as well as support with life skills and integration into U.S. culture and community. We provide a safe space for newly resettled families, over 90% of whom are refugees. The 250 families we serve each year represent our newest neighbors in our community, but also the most vulnerable. We provide support to any who need it, and this comes in the form of helping people access public assistance, education, medical care, immigration services, translators, transportation, and more. We also now have a Department of Justice accredited immigration clinic on site. We offer year-round English language instruction with levels serving total beginners to those who are seeking language skills for the workplace. Our adult English language learners, range in age from 18 to 80, represent nearly 40 different home countries and speak over 20 different home languages. They include those with no formal education, as well as those with professional degrees. We also provide an after-school enrichment program for youth ages 5 to 13 and a 6-week full-day summer program. And our youth program not only provides childcare assistance for working parents, but also homework help, literacy support, recreation opportunities, and a space where kids can be with others who have similar experiences. All of our services are free of charge. Our paid staff is small, but mighty. Over a third have lived experience as refugees, and among us, we are fluent in over a dozen languages. I'm only fluent in one, but my staff is quite incredible. Our work also is supplemented by a large core of volunteer staff who bring an array of skills and experiences. This work is a labor of love. It's an effort to help, to heal, and to care for those in need. And I believe this embodies the central theme of Passover. So this year, what can you do? This Passover, when you say, next year may we be free, how can you help make that a reality for others? Remember, first, you can remember to include today's refugees as part of the Passover story. Hebrew and Immigrant Aid Society includes on their website a supplemental text to the Haggadah that can provide a deeper exploration of the global refugee crisis at your Seder. You might also include a banana on the Seder plate to commemorate the modern refugee experience, or leave shoes on the doorstep to reflect walking in the shoes of refugees past and present. Or invite some of your newest neighbors to your Seder to come and eat. Next, remember to assist today's refugees who are struggling to become part of our community and adjust to their new home. I invite you to join us at Rise as a volunteer in one of our programs, or to assist us in creating satellite programming throughout the region to help us broaden our reach and reach more people. Apart from Rise, you might also connect with other faith communities in the area that are caring for some of the newest refugee arrivals. You also might advocate, whether locally or nationally, to ensure that we have funding for support services and fair immigration and resettlement policies. Or you can remember to greet and assist your newest neighbors when you meet them at the supermarket or pass them on the street. Such a seemingly small act of kindness can help someone feel welcome in their new home and part of the community. But whatever you do, it is important and it is enough. And in RBG's words, it is both the miraculous occurrence and the measure of our own creation. So thank you again for letting me join you here today. And I wish you all a very happy Passover. I'd like to close with an interfaith prayer written by Henri Nouwen, a Dutch priest whose work was rooted in social justice and human interconnectedness that I think speaks well to our call to action. Dear Lord, thousands of people are driven from their countries. Thousands are dying at sea in boats, unable to find a welcome port. Thousands are kept in camps without much hope of a normal family life in the future. Day after day, the number of refugees increases, and day after day, it becomes clear that we are living in a very inhospitable world. Oh Lord, show me ways to respond to this human tragedy. Show me how I can live in fidelity to your word in these days of anguish and despair for countless people. Give me an enlightened mind, a fervent heart, and a strong will, so that I can speak and act according to your commandment of love. I know what is happening. I realize the emergency of the situation, and I am convinced of the need to make a generous response. But I do not yet know clearly what you ask me to do here and now. I pray that you will help me find my way. Amen. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dan. And welcome again to our community. And also wanted to welcome your partner, Christian, and you're welcome to join us in our worship anytime. What powerful words, and I think exactly what we needed to hear on this Shabbat before Pesach. So I want to thank Dan, but I also want to thank our Social Action Committee that has been working to inspire us in how we as a congregation can be more active in living into the values that we learn together. And it's in that idea of living into the values that we learn that I'm thrilled to share with you that the Adult Education Committee, a different one of our lay committees, And if you're wanting to join any of our lay committees and you haven't in the past, we're always looking for new voices. Our Adult Education Committee has decided that our theme for this coming year, starting in the fall, our theme this year is Israel and our relationship to Israel. Our theme next year is going to be two aspects of Tikkun Olam. The first is the Jewish and other people's experience as refugees and immigrants. And the second is the environment. And I'm hoping we're going to call our theme something like Hazan et HaKol, something that draws on the imagery from our Grace After Meals, our Birkat HaMazon, that talks about both the experience of rootedness in the land, the importance of the environment and the sustenance from which we draw on that land, and also on our sense of being a part of that land and moving from one land to another land as a Jewish people who wanders and who has experienced what it means to be a refugee, has experienced what it means to be an immigrant, and is called by our tradition to obligations, to mitzvot, to sacred obligations that come from that sense, that experience, that working toward justice is part of what it means to be Jewish in the modern world. We're going to continue our service with Musaf, which Talia is leading us and which can be found on page 185. Page 185. After Hati Kaddish, we will continue with the Amidah, which will begin with Talia together on page 186. And then after the Kiddushah, we'll continue with the individual whispered Amidah. Hati Kaddish, page 185, please rise.
Yikadal v'yikadash shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Be'amad yivra kirte, be'amlik malchute, be'chayehon u'yomechon, u'v'chaye tebol beit Yisrael. Ba'gala, u'vizman kariv, imeru, amen. Yehesh mei Rabbah mevara, le'alam lo me'almaya, yitbara, v'yishtaba, v'yitpa'ar, v'yitromam, v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar, v'yitalel, v'yitalal, shemei dekudisha, lehu, leila mim kol birchata b'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran ve'alma, v'meru, amen.
Page 185.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avoteinu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol, HaGibor ve'Hanora, Elohim, Gomel Hasadim Tovim v'Konei HaKol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avod, U'Levi Goel Livnei B'neihem, Leman Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer Chokeinu Mashiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham U'Chokei Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechaye Metiv Atorav Le'Oshia, Matshiv HaRuach U'Morit HaGashem, Mechakel Chaim Bechesed, Mechaye Metim Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Berofei Olim, U'Matir Asurim, U'Mekayem Emunato, L'Yishei Afar, Michamo Chavol Geburot, U'Midol Melach, Vanata lechayot metim. Baruch atah Adonai lechayei hametim. Benakti. Perfect. Narita benaktisha kasyotzi asarfe kodesh. Hamaktishim shim haba kodesh. Garotuval yad neviecha v'chorazel ze be'amar. Kadosh, 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 haaretz kevodo, kevodo malei olam meshartasho elim ze lazeh, ayemim kol kevodo, lumal tam baruch yomeru. Baruch kavod Adonai mimkomo, uyifem brachamim, ubachon am chaludim shemo, erev avoker bechol yom tamid, ha'amayim be'ava shema omrim. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Hu Eloheinu, Hu Avinu, Hu Malkeinu, Hu Moshenu. V'hu yashmienu berachamav, shenit le'enei kol chai. V'hu yashmienu berachamav, shenit le'enei kol chai. Lihot lachem Elohim, ani Adonai Elohim. Uvedivrei kochaha katuv lemor. Imlo Adonai Elohim, Elohai Tzion, Ledor Vador, Hallelujah. Ledor Vador Nagid Godlecha, Ulanetza Netzachim Kedushat HaNagdish. Jid Kacha Eloheinu Mipinu Lo Yamush Leolam Vaed, Kiel Melech Gadol V'Kadosh Ata, Baruch Atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh.
If you haven't completed your individual whispered Amidah, please continue. We join together for Kaddish Shalem, page 203.
Yikadal v'yikadash me'raba be'amadi. Be'amadi v'rakirte be'amlik malhute ma'echon ve'hon ve'chod ve'Yisrael. V'agalav v'zman krim v'yimeru.
Amen. Yesh me'raba be'vara. Le'alam lo me'almaya.
Vit bravi shpa vit pa'ar vit ramam vit nase vit tadar vit lil vit slash medakudisha.
Brichu.
Leila mim kol bir chata v'shirata tushbahata v'nechemata dami rabbi ama v'imeru.
Amen.
Tit kapal lo tehon v'mitechon deho Yisrael kadam v'hon v'shemaya v'imeru.
Amen.
Yehesh lama rabba mim shemaya v'ayim aleinu v'il kol Yisrael v'imeru.
Amen.
O say shalom b'mara uya say shalom aleinu v'il kol Yisrael v'imeru.
Amen. Shabbat Shalom and Yasher Koach to Talia for leading us in Musaf. Also a Yasher Koach to everybody who participated in our service today, to Howie Middleman for leading us in Shachrit, to Ellie Moses, Dan Mayer, and Rachel Besser for chanting Torah, and especially to Dan Butterworth for sharing with us words of the Torah of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and also of his own organization's actions of Torah. We want to take this time to wish a happy birthday to folks in our congregation who are celebrating their birthday this week. To Matt Friedson, Deborah Gold, Matthew Haber, Peter Berry, Robin Blackmore Stone, David Goldstein, Aviva Spector, Tammy Weingarten, Mitchell Wool, Ryan Weiss, Rachel Blackmore, Abram Brown, and Annette Keene. And we'd also like to wish a mazel tov to our fifth graders and their families for celebrating with us last week as they received their Chumashim at the Chagigat Chumash. It's a pleasure to celebrate good things with people in the congregation, and if there's anything that's good that is happening to you, let us know so that we can announce it and celebrate with you. We continue our service with Ein Keloheinu, page 204.
Ein Keloheinu, Ein Kadoneinu, Ein Kemalkeinu, Ein Kemoshienu, Mi Keloheinu, Mi Kadoneinu, Mi Kemalkeinu, Mi Kemoshienu, Nodel Eloheinu, Nodel Adoneinu, Nodel Emalkeinu, Nodel Moshienu, Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adoneinu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshienu, Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adoneinu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshienu, Atahu Shektiru Avoteinu, Lefanecha Ketoret Asa.
We rise for Aleinu, page 205.
Aleinu l'shabeach v'adon hakol, atekedu la'leotzer breshit, shelo asanu gigohei haratzot, velo samanu mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam halkeinu kaem, v'kor aleinu kekol ha'olam.
Moshav Yikaro, Bashamayim Yimal, Shvina Tuzo, Shvina Tuzo, Legovei Neromim, Hu Eloheinu Einod, Em Emalkeinu, Em Ezulato, Kakatu, B'Torato, Yadata Yom, V'Hashivota Elevavecha, Ki Adonai Hu Elohim, Hashamayim Mimal, V'al Haaretz Mitachat, Einu. Al Kei Nekabelech Adonai Eloheinu Li'oheinu.
Kakatuv b'toratecha Adonai yimloch le'olam v'ed.
V'nemar v'chaya Adonai v'melech al kol We offer condolences to Nancy Cornell and her whole family on the passing of her mother, Linda Saltz, this past week. And we also remember with love the following individuals whose yahrzeits are this coming week: Mickey Becker, Tamara Rubens, Helen Unger, Annette Elstein, Mary Glick, Elmer Wallach, Leonard Weiner, Elsie Newman, Jack Bayrach, Marjorie Drews, Rhoda Ferber, Max Goldman, Irving Schock, Bennett Wool, Hugo Sternlicht, Thomas Kernis, Jack Rotman, and Susan Smolik. In solemn testimony to the unbroken chain of faith which links one generation of the house of Israel to the next, those who mourn and those who are observing Yartzeit now rise to magnify and sanctify God's name with the words of Kaddish Avelim, Mourner's Kaddish, page 207. Yitgadal, Yitkadash, Shemei Rabbah, Ve'alma Divra Kirutei, Ve'amlich Malchutei, V'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, V'agala uvizman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mevarach Le'alam Ulamei Almayah. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yit'alal Shmei d'Kudisha B'richu. Leila min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechmata damiran be'alma v'imru Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom imromav hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Jackie Rowan's going to offer some announcements on behalf of the congregation's Board of Trustees.
Well, this week, obviously, Friday is Passover. Friday evening is our first Seder. Hadar will continue this week with their pre-Passover learning at different times throughout the day. You can look at the announcements to find out what they're offering this week. Rabbi's class will be at 10:45 on Tuesday. Hebrew will be at 6 p.m. on Tuesday. The Scholar Stream will be at 8 p.m. on Tuesday. The Healthy Living Group meets at 10 a.m. on Wednesdays via Zoom. Wednesday at 1:30 will be the discussion of Tuesday night's Scholar Stream, and that's at 1:30. The RA International Seminar for Halachic Study is Sunday, April 24th. And that is also the Interfaith Mitzvah Day and Men's Club Torah Study. And I'll stop with that. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Let me just add a couple of things. First, again, a huge thank you to our Social Action Committee for planning and executing our Social Action Refugee Shabbat. If you missed last night's panel discussion with some refugees sharing their personal stories, it will be on YouTube, so you should make sure to find it on our channel. And thank you again to Dan for the words of Torah this morning. The Social Action Committee invites everybody to join us after services for a kiddush and lunch, and Dan and Christian will be joining us for that, at least for some of it, so that you can have an opportunity to ask him any questions that you would like to ask. So I just wanted to make sure that everybody knows to go to the social hall after services for this lunch sponsored by the Social Action Committee. If you haven't yet done the hard work of clicking on the link and authorizing me to be your messenger to sell your chametz on your behalf to somebody who isn't Jewish. After Shabbat, please just press the button and authorize me so that you will not have chametz that is in your possession over Passover. We have a strong prohibition in the Torah against owning or seeing chametz on Passover in our dwellings. And the way that we handle that is by authorizing the rabbi to sell your chametz and the portion of your dwelling that the chametz is sitting on to a non-Jew for the purpose, for the duration of the holiday. So don't forget to do it. It's very easy. You just click the button, click yes, I agree, and fill in your address, and then I will make sure to sell the chametz on your behalf. On that same topic, right, I will be selling the chametz on Friday morning, this coming Friday, Erev Pesach. Friday is also the fast of the firstborn. On those who are firstborns, traditionally fast in recognition of the fact that God killed the firstborns of Egypt. That's firstborns of both, firstborns of all genders. It does not discriminate based on gender. The Torah is very clear that every house in Egypt was affected by this plague. The only way that possibly could be is if you're counting men and women, and the Talmud is very clear that women are also obligated in this fast. Unless you're nursing or pregnant, or right, if there's a reason not to fast, then don't fast. That said, the fast of the firstborn is one of our least observed fasts because you can replace the fast with a little bit of learning. And so on Friday morning at 7:15 a.m., we will be joining in person in the chapel and on Zoom for our Shacharit service that always happens on Fridays at 7:15, but this time we'll be in the chapel. And immediately following services at approximately 7:45 or 7:50, there will be an opportunity to celebrate with Steve Schmidt and Joe Shang as they conclude their study of Masechet Bava Kama, and because they will be completing their study of a Talmudic tractate, we will celebrate with them with some food. And if you're present, the mitzvah of celebrating overrides the mitzvah of fasting. So we should celebrate with food, and then you don't have to fast on that day. So I hope everybody comes to celebrate with Joe and with Steve, but especially if you are a firstborn child, then you should definitely come. And by child, I just mean firstborn person. It's like you could be an adult who is also a firstborn in your family of origin. All right. That's enough of that. If you have any questions about Passover, koshering for Passover, what foods you can eat on Passover, whether you can serve kitniot on Passover, right? If you don't know what kitniot are, feel free to get in touch with me. I'm happy to share any insights that I have. If you're got some new people coming to your Seder and you're not sure how to engage them, let me know. I'm happy to give you some ideas. I'm around this week, so please do get in touch with me. We'll conclude our service with Adon Olam, page 211. Stick around for Kiddush and Motzi afterward, and then join us for lunch in the social hall.
Adon Olam,
Hashem Malach B'Terem Kol Yetzir Nivra V'Yein Asa V'Chefso Kol
Azai Melech Shimoni Kra, Azai Melech Shimoni Kra, Ve'acharei Kilot HaKol V'Ado Yimlok Nora, Ve'hu Haya, Ve'hu Horeh, Ve'hu Yeh B'Tifara,
yado afkiru bi ve'yitishan ve'yayirav ve'im ruchi yeviati Adonai li velo iram Adonai li velo iram Im tashiv mishabbat raglecha sod chavetzecha biyom kochi v'karat l'shabbat oneg likdosh anay mechubad v'chibaddo me'asrot l'checha mtzot chavetzecha b'daber davar asita nagal Adonai b'kavticha b'mot haaretz v'achalticha nachalat Yaakov avicha kipi Adonai liber v'shamru b'nei Yisrael t'shabbat la'asot et t'shabbat l'dortam brit olam b'ni u'v'im b'nei Yisrael tzili olam ki sheish shidim asa Adonai t'shemai b'daretz וביום השביעי שבת וינפש דחרת יום השבת לקדשו שיש שירים תעבוד ועשית כל מלאכתך ביום השביעי שבת לאדוני אלוהיך לא תעשה כל מלאכה אתה ובנך ביתך עבדך ואמתך ועבדך וגרך אשר בשעריך כי שיש שירים עשה אדוני את שמיים בארץ את הים וכל אשר בם בינך ביום השביעי כי מרח אדוני יום השבת ויקדשהו סברי ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם בורא פרי הגפן Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu anisat yadayim. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, ha'motzi lechem min haaretz. Okay. Shabbat Shalom.